basically interested in, if I ever seen any ghosts or supernatural shit. My first experience with crazy, fucked up ghost shit was in basic training.
A boy's best friend is his mom.
Then I hear, it's this murmuring. It sounds like, like if you're in one room and you can hear somebody talking in another room, and you really can't hear what they're saying, but it's verbal speech of some type. And they're at the edge, looking into the darkness. 20 minutes towards the end of my shift, I heard a horse. All right, it wasn't like it didn't whinny or anything. You know how they do that? They blow the air by their lips or whatever out their nose. It was a fucking horse. They had a wood chipping machine. Now I don't know what the fuck you need a wood chipping machine in the middle of the fucking desert. All right. Well, actually, I do know what you need it for, and it's nothing fucking good. There were parts of that prison that were literally walled off. They put up plywood. They just said, fuck it, this is too fucked up. They're not even going to clean it. Where there's like blood 6 to 8 inches deep on the ground, brains, just fucking... I mean, it was like it was a fucking rancid fucking kill house. And they're like, oh, everybody out, there's a kid in here. And so everyone's like flipping over boxes, like looking for this fucking kid. And I remember the soldier's name, but apparently he was walking down to use the fucking pisser, and a kid came around the corner and walked right by him in the darkness. We knew what it was by then. Okay, we knew it was a fucking ghost. Let's see, he saw it. There was another guy that saw it at the same time. But when the guy takes a little movie, and you see the orb, come up the fucking stairs, and then go out, and then go back. I mean, come on. But all I know is every fucking day I hung out in that place, my fucking skin crawled, my hair stood on its end, I fucking had a low-grade nausea. That place just fucking sucked balls.
Well, you had a couple of these dogs always following us around, we give them food, they're nice. They're just they're semi-wild dogs. They don't really belong to anybody, but it is what it is. I had 5 or 6 of those chem lights, just the regular yellow ones. Zombie Jesus! So we poured this shit all over the dog. It's glowing. Okay, it's not toxic. It's, you could fucking drink the shit and you'd be fine. The sun is coming down, and we let the dog go. And you can literally see him running on the beach. He looks like a fucking ghost dog, and people are freaking the fuck out. And boom, hits that fucking... He's killed instantly, like whipped in half. He's got the steering wheel, crushed into him. There was a woman, she had hit the window, and her brains had come out of her head through the window onto the hood of the vehicle and then on the rocks. Everyone fucking dead. Blood everywhere. It was fucking horrible.
All right, so what we're looking at here today is people roll down. I got a magnetic north that runs just to the left of that red or that orange color. And I could understand how some people, when they pass away and they go back to a time in their life when it was the happiest. Here, I hear like this rustling sound, and then I hear a desk moving. Okay. I'm like, oh, somebody's in the fucking building. This is like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, what the fuck? Now I hear the desk move again. And there's a wooden desk at the front of the classroom. And it had been moved about a foot and a half diagonal. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode that actually is live from the lair. So today we're going to be talking about some supernatural shit, you bleeding savages. All right, and it's just in time. We got Halloween coming up, and shortly after that, you're going to see a bunch of people raised from the dead to vote, because I'm sure it'll be a totally fair and completely safe election that will not be tampered with at all. All right, now we're a couple days away from Halloween, and
We've been getting a lot of requests for some paranormal stories and another Paranormal Pop. And here we are. We're going to cover some paranormal stories. A lot of them are going to be military themed, mainly because, from my experience, battlefields, military barracks, schools of any type, and active duty posts or former posts that used to be active duty are crazy, stupid, haunted. All right, now we got Battle Dwarf in the house, and Jimmy might show up after 9. We'll see what's up with that. And please remember, we have been demonetized, and to keep everything rolling along, your donations will go a long way. Thank you in advance.
Yeah, we got a whole brand new studio look going on too. Blake positioned everything to make me look as fat as possible. Fuck you very much, Blake. Anyway, yeah, we got a whole pile of stuff here, and then Blake and Pop and I have our own stories. There's just all kinds of weird stuff that goes around anything that had any military stuff on it at all. I'll start off with a very brief one. When I was in England, there's a place called Greater Malvern, and it's a series of hills in the countryside, and one of them towers above all the rest, and you can see for miles all the valleys and everything. And it's an old Iron Age fort. You can see all the ramparts and trenches that are dug across the top of it.
Yep.
And when you get up to the top of there, you can just feel all of the damn energy that comes off of that place. And that's some mystical patchouli shit. No, dude, you stand on this spot on this hill, and there's just this, like, remember the movie The Highlander?
Yeah.
The quickening?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah? Well,
I mean, you don't gain any powers. And
no, it just scares the shit out of you.
It just scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
You're standing there going, oh, the fuck? But yeah, that was really real.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I've been to Gettysburg, the actual battlefield, about 6 times in my life. You know, I went 2 times. You go during the day, and you go with the crowd, and they walk you through all of the different areas and stuff. And there's a portion, the 2 places that really freaked me out there was the Sunken Road and the Devil's Den.
Oh, those sound good.
The Devil's Den, when I was, there's a bunch of, it's like a cropping of rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm standing up there, and I got like a lot of that same creepy feelings, you know, the goosebumps, the hair standing up on the back of your neck. You feel like you're being watched.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty bad. The Sunken Road, not quite as bad, but you look at some of those pictures.
What's the Sunken Road?
The Sunken Road is a road that runs through the battle, Gettysburg, and it is what it is. The road sinks about 4 feet below, you know, the earth line for a certain portion of its length. And during the Civil War, that was just packed full of dead bodies. It was like a choke point of, I don't even remember the actual circumstances of that particular portion of the battle. But you got people wearing blue and gray uniforms standing next to each other, walking, you know, upright with 5.5 feet long black powder rifles that took 30 seconds to load. And if you were hit with one of those, you know, if it hits an arm, it's coming off. It hits a leg, it's coming off.
It's a 50 cal. I've fired one
68
of those.
caliber.
Yeah.
It hits you in the chest, you're dead. There's very little room for anything. And then if you didn't die instantly because of medical care and infection, you died within, you know, 1 to 5 days after the fact. And the carnage, there's a bunch of black and white pictures that were taken after a couple days after the fact. Where
I've seen a lot of those.
You see the bloated bodies, the human bloated. Oh my God. And
that's freaking terrifying.
And listen, when that kind of stuff happens, you know, in my opinion, something gets left behind in the environment. I mean, think about it. We've like literally
moved from analog to digital just a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Analog, you had magnetic tape where you can speak, and we have a machine that uses magnetics to imprint what you say onto a piece of tape that you can play back. When you think about the Earth with all of the magnetics and all of the stuff, it's quite plausible that we're leaving echoes of what we're doing now that will be played back into the future if if when the circumstances are correct, or if somebody's just
I think that's pretty much exactly how it works.
yeah.
Honestly, I actually think it's that. How here's a disturbing sidebar to your sunken road story.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Korea, we discovered that General Paek Sun-yup's office was next to one of our offices. He was MacArthur's counterpart during the Korean War. So we convinced him to come in and brief our unit on what it was like to be, well, the 4-star commander during the Korean War from the first day to the last.
Uh-huh.
He, at one point, was talking about the first wave of Chinese, and I forget where it was, but it was a valley where so many of them were cut down that you could not step on a body
Yeah.
for like 2 miles.
2 miles? Yeah.
They sent 14 divisions of Chinese total during the Chinese portion of the invasion of the Korean War.
That's a lot of divisions.
Yeah. They were fresh out of the revolution and had just chased off Chiang Kai-shek, driven him to Taiwan and stuff. So
They were fresh.
Chinese, they came in, but they didn't all have weapons. The Chinese didn't all have weapons. So if a guy got shot, somebody'd step in, pick up his weapon, and keep going, which is why the length was so long.
Mm-hmm.
Valleys in Korea are narrow. They're not the big valleys like we have in a lot of places here. They're like maybe a quarter mile wide is a wide valley, because it's all fault rock granite in there. But he was saying it was just terrifying, and he said the stench was just like nothing you could ever believe.
Yeah, when I graduated the Q course, one of the guys in my class, his last name was Panone. We called him Noner because he was a little shorter and he had a big nose. So we called him a gnome, and then we started calling him Nomer because of his name, Panone.
Right.
And his father took us all out for a steak dinner, and we started drinking. And his father was a Korean War veteran.
Oh,
and he was awarded, I believe it was the Silver Star in one of the actions, where he literally melted the barrels of at least 5 to 6, like a half a dozen 1919 A6 30-06 machine guns. And literally he's just firing into this wall of human meat that advanced from about 300 meters all the way up to like 20 meters away. And it went on like that for the better part of a day.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what General Paek was talking about, is that kind of stuff.
And then he had
those
other
Chinese
guys.
Wave attacks were batshit.
But it was so psychologically overwhelming that a couple of his buddies literally jumped over the barbed wire with 2 e-tools and just started hacking on the other side of the line. And one of them died, one of them didn't. But
wow, imagine that kind of berserker rage.
Well, here's the thing though, is I shudder at the thought of ever being involved in something like that, because if I am wrong and somebody on the other side doesn't like me, I don't want to be stuck forever in those few crazy moments for eternity.
Oh yeah, there is that.
I don't think I would enjoy that at all.
Yeah, there is that. There is definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another place I got to go to when I was in England was the ruins of I think it was a monastery or an abbey. I think it was an abbey where William the Conqueror took the surrender of, I believe, King Harold.
If I recall, that didn't go well.
It did not. And that place radiates a whole lot of, and it's the only way I could describe it was an infinitely deep well of sorrow. the whole place just hung with sorrow.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, but you walked
Creepy.
in and stood in that ruin, and you were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wow."
So
Yes.
here's another. This is an Army story. Where I'm gonna do a presentation.
Oh yeah, bring that up.
I'm gonna pull up the map. And you guys, if you guys are supporters, I just told the story on Sunday night, and but now I'm coming with some receipts.
Oh, you found the map for that
Yes,
one there.
there it is. Can you see it?
Yep, we have map.
All right. So the way this works out here, this is Fort Custer. This is an older map. I think it's from the 90s or mid 80s. Now, if you look at this particular area,
he's talking about 4 Alpha.
Yeah, if you go up here, you see this is the Fort Custer recreational area.
Yep.
This used to be Fort Custer proper. And if you look down here, you will see 4 Alpha, 4 Bravo, Charlie, Delta. These are like land nav training areas. And we were doing a light night land navigation exercise. And this was back when I was full-timer for the 414 Civil Affairs. And if you look up here, you'll see this Lawler Cemetery is right here, right above 4B on the other side of the road. Can you see that, Steve?
Yeah.
All right. Now, back in the day, that one cemetery serviced all of Fort Custer, because back then they didn't have embalming like it is today, and there wasn't a lot of shipping people around.
Hey, hang on a second. See your 200% there in that black bar at the top?
Yeah.
Click your plus arrow. It'll let you zoom in on that area a little better.
Yeah.
Boop.
There we go. Let me move over.
Space bar drag. There you go.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay, the goddamn Norton keeps coming on. All right, now the drop dead time was like, I believe 10:30 at night. And if you were lost in the sauce, all you had to do was pick a cardinal direction. You'd come out on a road and we'd come find you, take you back to the bus and get you back to the barracks. Now, these are Army Reserve individuals, so they're fatter, they're older, they're slower.
They're not high speed.
No. So 11 o'clock rolls around-ish, maybe 10:50, 11 o'clock. I don't remember the exact time. And we're missing like 2 or 3 people. So if you'll see, I start walking down this road right here. Can you see my my mouse?
I can, in fact, see your mouse. You're going southwest from Lawler Cemetery.
Yeah. And I came around this bend here. And I decided I just literally stepped off the road maybe 4 meters, because at night, people walking around in the woods are loud as hell. And I was trying to listen to see if I heard anybody, which I didn't. But about a few minutes later, it was like 4 or 5 horses literally ran down that little trail road right off where I was standing. And it wasn't a full moon, but it was like a partial moon night. So I could see the actual road, and there was no fucking horses, but you could hear them like thundering by. And I was like, okay, I'm like, fuck this. I get on the road. I am totally freaked out. I walk back up to, the pavilion, which is MV4, right at the top of 4B training area. And, by the time I got back, we realized the other dudes that were missing were found, and everything was copacetic, except for the fact, I was totally freaked out. We go back to the barracks. I don't say nothing about it because I'm like, maybe on an off chance there was horses and somehow I didn't see them. But it bothered me. The next day, because I was a sergeant first class, I tell the commander, hey, I'm taking the Humvee. I got some shit to do. I get an A driver, roll out there. We drove up and down that road, and where I found where I was standing, there were no horse prints on that stretch of road. There were some horse prints about a quarter of a mile down, but they were only like
They only went for like 50 or 60 meters and they stopped. Now, my question is this. The road was not paved, and it wasn't, the middle of summer, so everything wasn't baked hard and flat because a lot of those roads are clay, and in the summer they get pretty, robust, where if a horse was to go down there, it would leave very limited footprints. But it had rained the day before that for a couple hours, so this road was nice and still, you could see people's footprints, boot tracks, the Humvee tracks, but no horse tracks except for that one little area. And and I went down to range control and I told those guys, and I'm trying to remember the sergeant. He doesn't work there anymore. He left a long time ago. This was back in when did this happen? This happened in 2007 or 8. And the guy who works there isn't there anymore. But he said, throughout the years, because he'd worked there for decades, he had seen and heard all kinds of crazy stuff. He heard bugle calls because there used to be a horse cavalry used to train here, i.e. Fort Custer. He heard bugle calls. He would hear all kinds of horses, troops of horses riding by from time to time, all kinds of lights and occasionally an apparition here or there. But, I was just in the right place at the right time, and I think I was caught in one of those playback loops. Doesn't that sound? I mean, that sounds legit, don't you think?
No, that I could believe it probably works just like that, where you've got an event that took place that it might not be that exact time that event took place, but something plays that event at a specific time, like over and over again.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ghost stories like that in a lot of different places. There's a place up on Mackinac Island called the Devil's Kitchen, where during most of the day everything is fine, but people have reported going by there at I think it's like in the afternoon, where they're just like driven away because of the creepy. Something there. And the Devil's Kitchen is a small cave on Mackinac Island that has been there for as long as anybody can remember. But supposedly at one point it was a lair for cannibals.
Great.
So there's that anyway.
Yeah. Ooh, can't wait for that. So when you were in Korea, did you come across any crazy stuff?
Yes. Yeah, other than General Peck's stories. Yeah, I was part of 501st MI Brigade on paper. Our unit worked with group and a couple of other units.
That's common for intel guys.
But it's really common.
Yeah.
We'll be attached to something on paper, and then operationally we're like, hey, we need 5 of you to go support this over here. We're like, freaking 8.5 years overseas later. Anyway, the headquarters building was at a place called Sabingo, and it is no longer there. They've torn down all of the old 8th Army buildings in a lot of the areas, but this particular building predated the war and was actually a Japanese headquarters building, and also was the interrogation facility for the Japanese for high value Korean targets. And a lot of bad things apparently went on there, to the point where the Koreans themselves, the normal day guys who worked there and like janitors and the gate guards were all Koreans, wouldn't go into the compound, let alone into the building.
Okay.
So I drew CQ one night.
Great.
Yes. And I get Private Barnes, and I put Private Barnes on a cot in the CQ office. Go to sleep. I'll wake you up if I need you. Because we didn't in the Army back then with CQ runners, we didn't make them stay awake.
No,
it was unnecessary. You just the NCO on duty would do it. And I was there most of the night by myself in that place, and you have to go around and check the damn doors on a schedule and check it off on your sheet, and the usual drill of pulling CQ inside any headquarters building. You get a little checklist of stuff you have to do every so many hours.
Yes.
And walking down those hallways in that building, I have never felt so in danger. It wasn't, you couldn't like sit down and write about it, really. That's why I'm having a hard time describing it right now.
You just felt it.
There was just an overall feeling of, can I not be here? Can I somewhere else, please? Because apparently the Japanese really went to town on the Koreans that they interrogated in there. And it was only for like the high level guys.
Yeah.
So it would have been the extra special love. And the Japanese are really good at that stuff.
It's probably the same feeling I had the entire time I was stationed at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. Because we were literally living in the political prisoner wing. And behind the building was a wood chipper. Now, I shudder at the thought of why you needed a wood chipper in a prison in the desert.
Yeah.
We knew why. The whole thing was just all caked with dried blood, brains, bones. It was.
Let's start with the area where that is.
Mm-hmm.
Has been watching wars unfold for 5,000 years to begin with.
Or more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the center of civilization.
Yeah. Well, if you want to call it that.
Well, I mean, you get the idea, historically speaking.
Okay. So that is where I lived. All right. Now, outside the walls, the way Abu Ghraib prison was, there was one giant external wall, and there was about 4 or 5 square miles of terrain on the inside. And there were 5 cell blocks built inside this main complex. So it was walls within walls. And to the outside of our cell block, area, there was a field. And it turns out they had uncovered somewhere between 2 and 4 mass graves.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. And nobody really told us there was a mass grave there. But when we first got into country, I got tasked with being sergeant of the guard for about half of the complex, half of the wall. And I had just put a bunch of soldiers, in their towers, and I was pulled off in the corner, had the radio on. I was in the shade, just on standby just in case any craziness went on. And I'm in the Humvee, and I look over, and there's a bunch of dirt that had been bulldozed, off of the big field against the wall, and I'm seeing a bunch of clothes that are like rags. They're just in tatters, and there's a flip-flop every now and again. And I get out and I look and I pull on this, piece of cloth.
No, don't do that.
And literally a bunch of finger bones and bones from a hand.
I knew you were going to say that.
Fall onto the ground. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And later on, about an hour and a half later, I rolled up to this, that 202 MICP. And I was telling them, I'm like, hey, we got like a mass grave situation, on that one field against, I remember the wall. And like, yeah, we know. And I'm like, what is it? And you didn't tell anyone? I mean, what?
Maybe tell me.
I mean, you can get anthrax from that. Those are like dead human bodies and shit. And they're like, what do you want us to do? Clean the whole thing up? And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's an active duty answer. Okay,
dude,
whatever.
Rope it off, man.
So
rope it off for us. Don't just let it stroll in.
But here's the thing. It was everywhere. And it just got to the point where you ignored it. Like, it was very common, to walk along the side of the wall or even walk across the field anywhere on post. And there would be a thigh bone sticking out of the ground, or a jawbone, or a skull cap, a whole bunch of teeth. And the whole place was like that.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And on this particular day, I had been there about 90 days-ish, 2.5 months. And it was fairly warm out. It warms up, pretty. It gets really, really fucking hot in the summer. But in the spring, the way it is over there, like, one day it's like 30, 40 degrees. The next day it's like 60, 70 degrees. This is one of those nicer days. And I'm off shift, and I'm sitting in it's like a reclining kind of lawn chair kind of thing. We had a camo net on over us for shade. And one of the buildings that was assigned to my company, we never used it because when we showed up, it was all boarded off. All the windows were boarded up, the door was boarded up, and we were specifically told not to go in there. So we didn't.
Somebody's going to go in there.
What?
Joe is going to go into that building.
But this is what happened. I'm literally in that chair, and this is the middle of the day. This is like after lunch, sometime between 1 and 4 o'clock. And about 15 feet behind me, on one of the big wooden pieces of plywood that was covering a window, or I think it was a door, you just hear this boom, boom, boom. It was 3 loud knocks. And I get up and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, okay, somebody's fucking with me. All right. So I walk around the building. I'm checking the boards and everything's fine. And I go there. I'm like, hey, is anyone in there? Quit fucking with me. What the fuck's going on? No answer. So I'm like, okay, joke's over. I go back. And now I have one of those Iraq Coca-Colas, which is made with the cane sugar, and it comes with the old rip-off top.
Oh, the rip tabs.
Yeah, the rip tab. And that was a delight. It was just nice to have one of those once in a while. And about halfway through it, and again, boom, boom, boom. So now I'm like, okay, all right, somebody's fucking with me. This is bullshit. I go get a couple of huas. We get some crowbars, a sledgehammer. I don't ask any permission because in my mind, somebody is already in that building. I am going to find them and fuck them up because they're not supposed to be in there. So we pry the board away. We go in there. We have our flashlights. And it was something like out of Hellraiser, the movie. There was a couple chairs in there. There was a desk, another desk that was turned over. And there was dried blood and hair, and I assume brains on the ground and on the walls. And God, the story after that I got was before the American Army took control of that prison complex. The Iraqis just went to execution town and killed thousands of people. Thousands. Just tortured them to death, cut them up, ran them through the wood chipper, burned them in the acid pool we had upstairs, which was now my quarters, which was another story.
Yeah.
And, I ran it up the flagpole that I had gone in there, and I got my ass chewed, for not asking.
It's going to happen.
Not asking permission. But I had a whole bunch of individuals from Battalion HQ come down and specifically ask me all kinds of questions about the horror that I had seen in there. And
was this morbid curiosity, or was this the int guys?
It was the int guys, the intelligence guys.
Yeah.
And apparently they had wrote up a bunch of insums in regards to this. It was cataloged. Everything, there was pictures. The bodies were disposed of.
Yeah, I've helped write stuff like that.
And it went into a folder, and then it got promptly filed in the circular file. So by the time my unit got there, that information wasn't available. We didn't even know about the mass graves in the beginning, even though it was already documented.
You want to tell people
that
kind of stuff.
But that's the regular Army thing.
Crazy health hazard.
Yeah. You have one unit that gathers a bunch of intel. They send it up the chain. Another unit comes. They don't get that same intel, doesn't come back down the chain, and they're starting fresh.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. We called it stovepiping.
Yeah, and
it's really, really irritating. You get somewhere, and the guys that have left don't leave you jack shit hardly, and you have to rely on roomment to get anything. And then you find out that the intel that you collect, they had half of that already.
Yeah, and I am hoping whatever was in there pounding on the door to get out, got out of there. Because I myself would not want to be stuck in that hellhole forever. Oof.
That's crazy. That's absolutely freaking insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true or not. This is not a ghost story, but this is a scary story from the Iraqi viewpoint that I heard
Mhm.
when the guys came back from some of the last rotations, just as I was getting into the Army at all. They said the Iraqi prisoners were told that our airborne troops had to kill somebody to get their beret,
Mm.
and that airborne officers had to kill their family to become officers.
Wow.
And apparently, this is how I learned the story. One of the interrogators who was doing one of our human classes was telling it, and he said, there was a guy, one of the NCOs, who went and borrowed some colonel rank and pinned it on and walked into one of the holding areas for the Iraqi prisoners.
Yeah.
With his airborne beret and wings prominently displayed, and polished jump boots in a combat zone, because everybody walks around in polished combat boots. Yeah. Anyway, he was doing it on purpose because he had heard this rumor, and the Iraqis lost their shit, and he walked through with death on his face and his hands behind his back doing the
Mm-hmm.
and they're all panicking, and he goes around like once or twice and says, because we've got the linguist crowd, we're all linguists. He says they spoke, what do they speak there? It's not Iraqi. I think a lot of them just speak Arabic. Anyway, he said in their language, loud and clear, "Get every man here a blanket, some soup, and some bread," and turned around, and that they got people talking like almost instantly, because the Iraqis were convinced that this airborne officer was there to execute them all in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So they were all shitting themselves, and he's like, "Get the bread and blankets."
Yeah.
And they all started talking, and they got tons of intel out of that.
But in every room inside that prison,
Mm-hmm.
in the ceiling was a metal hook.
Oh, God.
Made out of rebar.
Mm.
And when the Iraqi guards would leave at the end of the night, they would leave 1 or 2 pieces of rope. And the people who were stuck in these cells would take turns hanging themselves with that rope until they were dead. And they'd literally take the body down, set it aside. The next guy would hang himself, and they'd wait patiently for him to die. And they'd come in the morning, and there'd be anywhere from 2 to 2 dozen people dead. That's the kind of shit that was going on there. I mean,
better to hang yourself than go through what was coming.
Oh my God, I don't know.
I can't imagine that.
Where my bunk was. All right, now we had one of our soldiers was banging this intel female across the post, and she would come and they would hang out and stuff. And listen, I remember I'm telling her, I'm like, look, you're a female. This is a airborne infantry company. I can't have a woman hanging out here on the regular. There's going to be all kinds of questions. Mm-hmm. So if you decide to show up here, you're going to give us a fresh intel dump of stuff that we don't get. And that way I can justify this. So that's what she did. So one day she's up there, she's talking with this one soldier, and she sees me go into my area where my bunk was, which was basically a shower. I thought it was a shower. And she goes, "Yeah, Sergeant, you're literally sleeping in where the acid dip room is."
Go. That's nice. What did you just what?
Yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what? She goes, "Oh, yeah. Where your bunk is, there used to be a vat of acid, and they would dip people in it to get information or just kill them." And I'm like, come on, bullshit. Next day, she comes with a CD with a 90-second video of them dipping a son of a bitch in an acid bath, literally where my bunk is or was. So that did not help the whole vibe of the entire place. No. In fact, the back stairs, like maybe 30 meters from where my bunk was, there was a set of stairs that went down to the main courtyard. And that's where the ghost child would come up. And he was seen 3 or 4 times by my soldiers. I think 8, 9 different guys saw the ghost child. And it was always the same thing. They're walking down the stairs, and then a child passes them. They turn around, they see the child walk, turn into the main room, which was their barracks. And they'd walk up there, turn the light on, and be like, hey, there's a kid up here. And everyone would freak out. And like one of the times that happened, it was like, this had happened quite a few times. So the light would come on, everyone would freak out. I would wake up, and I remember the last time I walk out there and the lights are on, and I'm looking across the bay, and the soldier that his bunk is literally by the far door, he's standing there making eye contact with me, and I make eye contact with him, and everyone else is like scrambling around, and I'm like, a kid's dead. It's a ghost. I turn the light off. You can just feel the panic of all the soldiers like, freaking out.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
And listen, there was no age limit for the Iraqis. They killed anyone. Yeah. Anyone. They'd kill your family in front of you, whatever they deemed necessary to maintain their power.
For perspective, the soldiers that you're talking about, these are a bunch of battle-hardened assholes. Mm-hmm. These are not, Boy Scouts or, Mary Sue from the ice cream social committee here. Uh-huh. These are hardened battle soldiers being freaked out by this stuff.
Like the average age.
And it's even freakier when a button-pushing monkey just pops in like that.
Speaking of being hard.
No.
Phrasing. Don't go there. Nope.
Phrasing.
Yeah. I don't know, man. My thing is this. I had to live in that hellhole for about 6 months.
Yeah.
On top of getting mortared between 1 to 5 times a day, doing business and living amongst human remains and spirits and ghosts. Because I'm telling you, that place was stupid haunted.
At least 5,000 years of people killing each other.
Yeah.
In that spot.
Well, yeah. And while we got moved over to Slayer, which is across from Victory, after I'd been in Abu for about 6 months, when I came back from leave, we moved to Slayer. And I was promoted to first sergeant. And we had to actually do some guard shifts because we were short on people. And I pulled shifts along with my dudes. I didn't pull the rank or play any of those stupid games. And on this particular night, it's me. There was another E6 with me, and then there was 2 snuffies from another unit. I think there was a PFC and an E4. And we're just sitting there doing what soldiers do, smoking and joking, bullshitting. And you'd have one guy, on the nods or the binos for about 15 minutes, and then he'd swap out the next guy, and I'd take my turn on the nods. And because your eyes get kind of sensitive and burned out after about 15.
Those aren't something you can wear all night.
Yeah, 15 or 20 minutes. So we took shifts, and we were in there by 2 or 2.5 hours, sometime after midnight. And this PFC's like, I can hear him like, "Holy shit!" He's like, his buddy's name was James. Hey, James, you gotta see this. Put on your nods. So he's like, "Holy fuck!" So what do soldiers do? You're like, I have to see it too. So
here we go.
I pull off the nods, and I'm like, "What are you guys looking at?" And the other guy, the E6, is we're all looking. And you can't see it with the naked eye, but when you put the nods on, it's plain as day. It's this glowing orb of energy. It's just moving outside the wall, maybe about 50, 60 feet from the wall, just moving along. And it went on for about 150, 200 meters, and then just boop, blinked out.
Now, if that was a flaw in a nod, it would have only been that one pair of nods.
Yes.
And everybody was seeing this.
Saw it. We all tracked it. We're like, what the fuck is that? Jesus fucking Christ. What is that? And the one PFC is like, that for Sarge is a djinn. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah.
And we
those stories got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, listen, the next day, or was it 2 days later, one of the local interpreters, we told him about it. He goes, no, I know. I have to talk. No, bad place. No. Don't. It's like, yeah. He goes, no, don't go outside. No, it's a bad place. No. Because apparently they're used to seeing shit like that over there.
Every third world country I've been to, you always have somewhere where there is a guy who would don't go there.
Mhm.
Oh no.
In fact,
Yeah.
there's the largest cemetery on the planet
That's
in Iraq. I think it's outside Baghdad.
terrifying.
It's
Now, Genghis Khan sacked Baghdad.
Yes.
I don't remember the date, but it would have been in the 12th,
1288.
something like that,
Something like
or
that.
the 13th century, so the 1200s. And when Genghis Khan sacked the city, that was it.
Not a good thing.
You were done. So
Yeah.
the amount of killing that went on there would just be absolutely through the roof. I'm going to throw a breather out there. I've got a good ghost story.
Okay.
We went down to Jeollanam-do, which is a province way in the south in Korea, to go hiking up in the mountains. And honestly, Korea should have never industrialized. It should have become a hiking paradise. It could have been the Switzerland of Asia. The mountains are crazy beautiful. So we're up hiking and we come across this rope bridge, and the bridge is this wide
Fuck that.
with the ropes.
Nope.
It's over an 800-foot gorge.
Not doing it.
Hey, it's 300 feet long. So, of course, you got to go over the rope bridge.
No, can't do it.
I did. We all did. And you get about a quarter of the way out there, and you realize that you're not turning back because there are people behind you waiting. And you really don't want to go forward, but now you're going. And you get to the other side.
Yeah.
And you're alive and you're grateful. And you hike over the top of the mountain, and then down about a quarter of a mile, there was a temple called Wolchul, Gate of the Moon Temple. And it had been there since
the Gay Moon Temple?
Gate of the Moon.
Okay.
Almost suspicion point fluttering about you. Anyway, at Gate of the Moon Temple, it has been a temple for like 1,000 years or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And the well dates back to the 15th century. And that was the water tastes like you're being spiritually fortified or something.
Oh, it's one of those places.
And
Artesian well.
Yes.
I found one in New York State.
And the whole place had this. Do you remember the movie The Dark Crystal?
Yes.
Do you remember the Mystics?
Yes.
The whole place had that aura.
Oh, yeah.
And you got down there, and once you got onto the temple grounds, you were just kind of like, okay, I'm going to be all right. It just had this huge presence of calm good.
Yeah, but in the Orient, isn't it very common for each house to have its own like altar to the house spirit or whatever?
That is animism, and it is more Japanese, not so much Korean.
Okay.
I had been to other temples in Korea. I've been to a whole bunch of temples. I made a point of going to them. But this was the only one where you walked onto the temple grounds and you were like, okay.
Peace.
We're good.
I like it.
The rest of it, there were temples, and it felt like a temple, and the monks were serene and all of that. But this particular one it was so old and had this so much aura.
If I ever had a whole bunch of fuck you money, I would like to go check that out.
It's nice. It's nice.
Now, if I ever like got serious fuck you money,
yeah,
there's a lot of shit I would do.
Though I stayed at a temple in Incheon 2 or 3 weekends. The monks discovered that I could speak Korean, which they thought was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, "Can I spend a weekend here?" And they're like, "Well," and I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll do everything you do. I'll get up in the morning, I'll sweep the steps, go to
whatever you want."
And they
within
were like,
reason.
Okay. No, it was just a normal day. You wake up, you go to prayers, you sweep the steps, you go eat breakfast, go do more stuff. And at night they sat around the bonfire eating roasted potatoes. They're called koguma. It's a Korean sweet potato. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would hang out for 2 days.
That's cool.
And it was like a reset. Because
I
was stationed at battalion right on the DMZ at the time. So
there's a lot of pressure.
It took the pressure way the fuck down.
Yeah. Ooh. I don't know. And then this Sunday, I actually told a couple of fresh ghost stories to some of the guys.
No.
And this one is has to do with Selfridge Air National Guard Base.
Oh, right up the road from me.
Yeah. And now Selfridge had been in operation since the early 1900s. I think they 1910, 1912-ish. There's all kinds. I showed a bunch of pictures of a bunch of World War One aircraft and the interim between World War One and World War Two and what have you. But as romantic as that sounds, it was incredibly unsafe. And there's all kinds of crashes taking place in and around Selfridge Air National Guard Base since the very beginning. And we call it Sang B. Now, this is not, I personally didn't see this. This is a story from somebody else. And this is a guy who was an SP there mid to late 70s. And, you know, he enlisted in the Air Force, got the job, SP, which is the equivalent of an MP, military police, but it's for the Air Force. Got stationed at Selfridge. And, you know, he's a new guy. He got the night shift. So he basically would spend from 11 o'clock until like, 5, 6 in the morning, driving around the camp, the airfields, checking locks, making sure if there's a car in the parking lot, it's supposed to be there, what have you. And one night, he's rolling around the backside of the base, which is near one of, it's not quite a river, but it connects to St. Clair, Lake St. Clair, which all kinds of aircraft crashed in because the runway goes right up against it. You can do your final approach over the lake and get onto the runway. He sees a guy like literally at the end of his, headlights crossing the road, coming from where the canal was, crossing the road into one of the older buildings over there. And he kind of lost sight of the guy and decided I'm going to go check it out. He rolls in there and there's nobody there. He drives around the parking lot, gets out, walks around the building. All the doors are locked. There really isn't anywhere where somebody could egress to. He gets on the radio, calls the rest of the cronies, and 8 to 12 guys search the area looking for this individual. Not to be found. Okay.
Yeah, you can't just have people walking around.
No, you can't. Not a military post.
That's not a good thing.
So, he asks some questions, and he finds out that people have been seeing that individual from time to time crossing that road. All right. Now, I spent a lot of time on Selfridge in my military career. There's probably a good 6 dudes out there who made it through Ranger school. A couple of them went to the Ranger Regiment, who I got up at like dark 30, showed up on Selfridge and road marched with them 3 circles or 2 circles around the post, all before 9 o'clock in the morning to get them ready to go meet the standard. And I never saw no shit like that. But like I said, a lot of people died on that post. And here's another one from Selfridge.
I didn't know that about Selfridge. It's a fairly bucolic little area. Yeah.
But, it is what it is. Now, in this particular story this is secondhand. This individual lived on post in one of those, beautiful stone houses that was made for officers and enlisted to live in.
Yeah.
I don't think they use them anymore because they require too much upkeep now because, they have copper roofs, copper water fixtures, everything.
That area were built in the early 1800s.
Yes. So this one guy, he was a pilot and he was there with his family, his wife, and I think he had 2 or 3 kids. But he had a really, really, small daughter. He moved in when she was like 2. He lived there until she was like 4 or 5 years old. And she had an imaginary friend she called Oliver or Ollie or something like that. Well, this guy was getting out of the Air Force. He was retiring, and he secured himself a job as an airline pilot. He just had to do some schooling, and it was an easy transition over.
That's pretty common.
Yeah, and the daughter was like, Ollie wants to know if you're going to be okay. Do you have everything lined up? And this is a little girl. He's like, what? What? Who said that? Oh, Ollie said that. He's worried about you, Daddy. He's just like, okay, it's imaginary friend. Doesn't anything, not a big deal.
Little girls worry about their daddies. Okay,
yeah,
tracking.
and it's not a big deal. But the thing is when you live on post, when you get close to leaving, you have a couple inspections where they come and they look and they say, hey, is this something that we're responsible for, or is this something that you need to fix or repair? Guys walking through the building, saying, okay, we've got to put some putty in this crack, screw this back in, And he's talking to the guy. He goes, yeah, do you know anybody named Ollie that used to live here? He's just like, well, I've heard about a guy named Ollie who he lived here in the 50s, and yeah, it didn't go well for him. He was getting medically retired, and he killed himself. And he's like, holy shit! And then it rung in his head. He goes, my daughter is speaking to this airman who's worried about me, thinking when I get out of the service, I might commit suicide.
Whoa.
That's not super scary. It's kind of like, hey, he's actually worried about this other guy from the spirit world communicating through his daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That one, I was like, oh, that's really a creepy story. It's not super scary, but I mean, what are the chances of a kid having an imaginary friend, Ollie or Oliver, and then somebody 20 years prior, 20 years and a little bit of change prior to this, who committed suicide, who lived in the same building?
That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. That's batshit nuts. Where are the buttons here? So for those of you who are just tuning into all of this stuff, we're just having a spooky night sitting around telling ghost stories. We're going to get some articles here pretty soon. But before we do that, Pop, give the monetization speech, please.
All right, this is what we got going on. In the height of 2014, 2015, this channel used to pull down between $4,800 and $8,800 a month in ad revenue. Now we're lucky to see $800 to $1,100 a month. We have been cut by the purse strings by YouTube. And on top of that, they're taking back money that they gave us in the past because older videos are no longer meeting their guidelines that they just put in place. So we're getting creamed financially from all angles. Any donations you could give us will go a long way to keep everything rolling. We're going to be ramping up some changes here in the next 4 to 5 months. Hopefully you will enjoy it. I am planning to bring back the whiteboard. We're working on the lighting right now, and along with some green screen and some comedy skits. If we can make some new episodes, if we can make everything gel and come together all copacetically. But again, your financial donations help us quite a bit. So any little bit you can help us out with, please do. We would greatly appreciate it.
We're even talking about getting Jimmy a real monkey suit.
I'm game.
Okay.
You're a good sport, Jimmy.
That sounds like fun.
You guys missed it earlier, though, when Pop was looking at some a thing on Amazon he was trying to sort out, because his, speaking of spooky stories, third book is about to come out.
The Shadow of the Wraith.
Yeah, Shadow of the Wraith should be coming out here. And he's asking me, okay, hey, come over here, look over my shoulder and tell me about this. So I kind of leaned over his shoulder and gently put my arm around him and then put my other hand. So he goes, hey!
You are fined 1 homo suspicion point for violation of the Man Code Morality Statute.
Oh no, this was a deliberate ambush. I knew exactly what I was doing.
That was very uncomfortable.
Okay, only half a point then.
Yeah, I'll take the half point. I'll take the half point for the actual action carried out, but it was the chat's lighting up with homo point. No, I knew what I was doing. That's always a good way to freak people the fuck out. And you can only get away with that in the military too. Because normal people just won't understand and may even cry.
What are you doing?
You touched me wrong. So
what are you going to do?
Yeah, the other night in Indiana, lights appeared over the base, apparently. And, to this, I have to say, we are in the age of drones. You can have light shows where drones draw pictures in the sky.
Uh-huh.
So it makes it harder for me to accept UFO type explanations for this kind of thing. But whatever our personal opinion on the subject of space and the possibility of alien races in the universe, it's only fair to admit that UFOs are a reality because, after all, they're things that are unidentified flying objects. I'll take that.
I was actually in Phoenix for the Phoenix Lights.
We have that.
Okay.
That one's coming up.
All right.
I have two theories about UFOs. The first one is the fact that they have not openly tried to contact us because we're a bunch of idiots proves that there are aliens. And the second one is any UFO sightings is alien teenagers stealing the UFO from mom and dad to go buzz the hairless monkeys and watch them freak out.
Well, I think some of it is us driving around the next generation aircraft.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because, the stealth bomber, there's been all kinds of rumors and sightings of that for about 10 years before they pulled the trigger on that and released it to the public.
The first appearance of the 117 was at Homestead Air Force Base in 1991, I want to say. And I was there as part of hurricane relief. And it was the first public announcement of it. So they turned on the chatter from the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing, sir, coming down, Victor, here at a 271 at the tower. We don't see him. Tower, do you see him? No, we don't see him. Holy shit! And the plane goes oof, by the tower.
Yeah.
Actual quote from the tower. Holy shit!
Because it didn't show up on radar.
It didn't show up at all. And this black bat wing comes out of nowhere and buzzes the tower by a couple of 100 feet. And this is a huge SAC base.
Mm-hmm.
Homestead Air Force Base is a huge SAC base. That's our front line for Cuba.
Mm.
So the pilot of the 117 just absolutely buzzed the fucking tower. And I got to be there and see that.
Was that after Gulf War or before Gulf War?
I think it was during.
Okay.
I think it was during. They were about to send those in.
Yeah, because those ghost bombers, they screwed up Iraq bad.
Oh, yeah. You can't see it. There's nothing... our towers, when our military was still competent in 1991,
couldn't see them.
Our towers and our guys never saw it coming.
Yeah, but in today's day and age, you and I both know that they probably have a new whiz-bang fuck you radar that sees anything.
This was 1991.
Yeah, this is 2024.
Exactly. We're talking 33 years later.
Now,
holy ass balls, dude.
We're so old.
Oh, God, it's 33 years later.
Look, I already have my scrotum growing up my neck. It's bad. I'm old.
That's terrifying. Anyway, on the aftermath of SpaceX's Elon Musk discussing the subject with Tucker Carlson, see below, and President Trump discussing it with Rogan, also see below, the reports of sightings are still coming on strong. Of course, all of the links will be available. Jimmy puts them all up there all the time. It arises now that a flock of mysterious glowing UFOs were seen flying at dizzying speed near an Air Force base in Indiana. The lights in the sky scared those witnessing it, as we can check the crazy footage below. Let's watch a footage and see what happened, because I haven't watched any of this.
Okay.
See it? Oh.
Whoa! Daddy, we see them!
Okay, this just looks like drones.
What in the world? There's another one right there.
I know.
Wow. Upper left their lens.
Yeah, that's their lens dogs. Huh.
Huh. Do we have any better ones?
No, I don't know. But people see that shit all the time. That's nothing new, man.
I agree. I am inclined to believe
Now that
it was
bottom
first
one there,
as
Yes, and
bottom one there.
up a little bit.
This one?
Yeah, you see that little picture down there with the HUD from the aircraft to go down right there. That I've actually seen that footage, and that's the real deal.
There are definitely some unexplained encounters.
Like the F-18
between-
actually locked onto that thing and tracked it, which almost never happens.
Didn't it like kind of just play with him for a minute and
Yeah,
then
and
punch the afterburners, whatever that is?
it went to like ludicrous speed.
Went to ludicrous speed. Now, here is the one Pop is talking about. What were the Phoenix Lights? Why the UFO phenomenon is still a mystery 27 years later. This happened in 1997 in Phoenix, and you were there.
I was there, yeah. I was doing PT in the evening on the Camelback like foothills, I guess they call them.
Okay.
I think I was 10 miles into like a 16-mile trek because I was young and
Superman shape.
yes.
I used to do 12-milers to amuse myself.
But I was fighting on the West Coast, working as an investment banker, and I was just trying to stay in shape. And I saw it. I remember sitting down on this rock. I'm drinking water. I sat there for like 30 minutes, and it was like a V shape, and it wasn't really moving that fast. It was a decent clip. And I'm like, literally, that is nothing we have. I have no idea what the fuck that is. I finished up the walk. Next day, it was all over the media. And they're like, oh, no, it was flares. I'm like, I've seen flares. And that was
formation at a reasonable speed.
Well, if you pop a flare, it doesn't stay still. It basically comes down because it has a parachute attached.
And it does that jiggly light.
Yeah, and it kind of flusters, and sometimes you'll see it go up and down with the airflow or whatever, and then it burns out. But you see, the gases and the smoke from it.
Right.
There was none of that. It was not a flare. I've seen enough flares to tell you that was not it.
Yeah, flares look specific. Even at night, you can see the smoke and gases coming off of them. And if you're really unlucky, if they get to the ground before they burn out and you are in a field or something like that, they will set it on fire.
Yes, and then you have to put it out.
And then that's you and 100 of your best friends out there trying to put out a fire.
And I remember when I was leaving Iraq on leave to come home to witness the birth of my second daughter, they had to punch the flares. And I'm literally looking out the window, watching hundreds of flares. I'm looking at the crew chief. I'm like, are we okay? He goes, well, you'll know shortly if we're not. I'm like, okay.
There's nothing you can do about that. They were dropping countermeasures?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm like, give me a sandwich box. Fuck it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've seen the flares from inside the aircraft when they use it, on the ground when it's being used.
Yeah.
They were not flares.
It looks like big wings of flare lights.
And what really pissed me off is
there's a lot of photos of it.
Governor of Arizona at that time treated it as just a fucking joke. At a press conference, he had a dude dressed up like an alien.
Yes.
He was I'm like, fuck that guy. He should be punched in the face by everyone that witnessed that shit. Now, listen, if I was a governor of a state and some crazy shit like that happened, I would be going berserk trying to figure out what it was. And I would not hide that information from my state.
I was on the Z when that happened, and we were sitting in the day room watching AFN, and AFN ran the governor with alien segment.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know, man. And we had the whole Project Blue Book, which downplayed all the alien stuff.
That started in the early 50s.
Yes.
And I think the project ran through 1968. I was looking for references to the TV show earlier, and they're surprisingly hard to find. It only ran from 78 to 79.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was 2 seasons.
Yeah. I remember I was 8 years old. It's a UFO show.
Yeah.
Duh.
I watched it.
Right, exactly. And I remember when it was canceled, I was really upset.
Hmm.
But as it turns out, it was actually based on real things. And
And now we have our own government saying, yes, their aliens exist.
can we just let's do it then? Like, why
Yeah.
are we dicking around? On March 13th, 97, thousands of witnesses reported seeing a series of mysterious lights forming a distinct V-shaped pattern in the night sky, which is exactly what you just described. Despite attempts by the U.S. Air Force to attribute the phenomenon to military flares, skepticism persisted among those who questioned the official. I mean, it just reeks of, if it's not a UFO, it's a skunkworks project.
Yeah. But it was so big. I'm like, there's no fucking way we have anything that size.
Like big. I mean, I don't know what you saw. How big was it?
Over a third of a mile.
What?
Third of a mile.
Fuck, all the way off.
I'm serious. It was huge.
Wow. Dude, that's like...
We don't have anything like that.
And nothing flies in a formation like that.
And it wasn't even going that fast. It was like... Maybe if it was a giant blimp or something, maybe.
Was it a distinct shape with lights?
I couldn't see anything but the lights. I couldn't make out if there was
So the lights
like a giant boomerang.
shape. Yeah.
Yeah. It was big, man. It was big. At least from my perspective.
It says this thing hung out for about 106 minutes, a little over an hour and a half. First sighting around 7:30 to 8:45. Although the exact time is unknown, witnesses reported seeing a formation of lights flying across the northern sky in Arizona toward Tucson. Second sighting later that night, a more significant and widely observed event occurred when a large V-shaped formation passed over the Phoenix metropolitan area.
There it is.
These lights appeared connected to be part of a massive. Looking at that series of lights there, that's not a flight formation.
Nope.
And wow. And the Air Force tried to say it was flares dropped by an A-10.
Yeah, get the hell out of here.
Okay, anybody who's been on the ground in the airspace of an A-10 knows that, first of all, they don't kind of just sit there in the air and go,
No.
And they can fly at altitude, but normally that's not where they operate. And there would be no reason for them to be popping flares at any kind of...
Not in
anyway, that's not
in a diamond or in a wedge formation that moved independently of each other.
I've never seen more than two of them over an AO.
There's no records of... All right. So I was working in Phoenix, Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was there for about a year. I never saw any A-10s flying over Phoenix.
We have them at Selfridge.
Yeah, I know, but,
that's Michigan.
They're not dropping flares or doing crazy shit or maneuvers. It's a total lie. It's total bullshit. They're covering some shit up. There's no way. From what I saw, and listen, I was 20-something years old.
28. You would have been 20.
I was
29,
maybe. Prime shape of my life. Mm-hmm. I was not drunk. I certainly wasn't using drugs at all. I'm just telling you, and I saw the same thing everyone else did.
Yeah.
And I sat there and watched it for about, a half an hour, 20 minutes, and then I got on with my day.
That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Man. Here's that TV show I was talking about, though. I had to look it up, and it was called Project Blue Book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain of that.
It was. I remember that.
But everything on the internet now is trying to say it was called Project UFO. Then I finally found a reference on an
Mandela Effect
English edited version of the show. Nobody knew what Project Blue Book was, so they called it Project UFO. And now everybody just calls it Project UFO. But here in the States, it was called
Project Blue
Book. Turns out it was a real program. From 1952 to 1969, the Air Force conducted Project Blue Book, which they investigated thousands of reported UFO sightings. Now that we know how much our media is controlled, I'll bet you this was to gaslight the public into going, oh, here's the
Swamp gas,
show, though.
ball
It's
lightning,
ball lightning and swamp gas.
test plane.
I saw that on a TV show. Martha, you caught that episode.
Yeah.
And the human brain can't handle big things like an actual UFO.
Yeah.
Well, let's give them a TV show to relate everything to.
Why not?
Or
But I mean, here's the thing. All right. So the whole Roswell
yeah,
craziness. There was also reports of another spacecraft that crashed in like the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Russia.
No, it was in the States.
Oh, well, then there's
And
two.
part of it was like thrown at the bottom of a well, and then part of it was buried. And my opinion is this: Roswell was not a one-off. There's probably been throughout history alien spacecraft getting, hit by Murphy, damaged in conflict with other species, or some type of an event, be it sunspots or what have you, that causes them to crash from time to time. I truly believe that.
I am inclined to believe that there are other intelligent species out there. It
Yes,
seems bizarre to me that we would be the only ones.
I mean, if you look back at some of the Babylonian clay tablets, there's a couple of them that literally tell you the planets of our solar system from the outside into the sun.
That's a weird order to me.
And those are at least somewhere between 5 and 12,000 years old. Who the hell did that?
The oldest known writing that I am aware of is 6,000 years old.
Yes, but here's the thing that blows my stack. All right, so we're supposed to be hunter-gatherers. And then all of a sudden, we weren't hunter-gatherers, and we had all kinds of writing and mathematics and engineering and all the other trappings of civilization. Where did that all come from? It didn't come from hunter-gatherers who knew how to flake stones and turn them into spears, knives, and arrowheads, and make fire, and maybe herd a couple of animals here and there.
So modern anthropology, modern socioanthropology, and quite a bit of modern archaeology are point blank people with degrees guessing shit.
Yes.
And then patting each other on the back.
And then only allowing people into the club who play along with the game.
Exactly. And once again, me with my old books, go read even just the first book of Plato's Republic. The dialogue between Socrates and Glaucon and his brother and father. And they're talking about all kinds of advanced concepts. And this is 2,500 years ago.
Yes.
They're talking about all kinds of advanced concepts that we still, almost to the letter, use today. So 2,500 years ago, all of those things were already normal.
Well, here's another thing.
So
This
there
planet,
goes 5,000 years of civilization.
This planet is somewhere between 4 and 5 billion years old, so they say. All right. Who is to say we haven't had a dozen races evolve, go through all of their development, become high functioning civilizations, and then they just leave? And then, because there's a cataclysm or something happens, the earth resets and starts over. I mean, that's a lot of time.
We're going down a deep rabbit hole.
I know. How arrogant are we as a race to think we were the only ones to ever, in 4 to 5 billion years, evolve to the apex of this world? I'm sorry. I'm not.
I'm inclined to agree. There are records of, well, there aren't records of, there are rumors of advanced civilizations all over the place.
Yes.
My brain just locked. The train went
I
right
know,
off.
because we're in a crazy rabbit hole. Let's go back to ghosts.
Okay, let's go back to We'll go down that particular rabbit hole later. Meanwhile, let's go back to ghosts on military bases. Here are the top 10 most haunted military bases. West Point Military Academy.
Crazy
Sure.
haunted.
I'm not even a little tiny bit surprised
Oh, crazy haunted.
that this is on the list. Reports of ghostly cavalry still reporting for duty. The academy often pops up on the most haunted lists. In 2017, Thrillist named West Point the most haunted place in New York. Probably not the most haunted place, but heavily haunted. I'll buy.
All of New York is haunted.
Exactly. Start strong, stay strong, ranked West Point as the 5th most haunted military base. Of particular interest is room 4714, where an opalescent figure is said to drift in and out of stone walls, terrifying first-year plebes as they settle into their new sleeping quarters. I'm going with a soldier who knows he's dead, going, you know what, plebes, I'm going to spend the rest of eternity just fucking with plebes. This is going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because that is something a soldier would do. It absolutely is something a soldier
would do. This is strictly my belief, is maybe when you leave here, you get a chance to go hang out at somewhere in your life cycle, which was the most happiest, content, you name it, whatever. Because there's all kinds of stories about West Point plebes being put on guard shift, walking around corners and like seeing another guard dressed in garb from way back in the day walk by. They turn around, there's nothing there. Or voices calling out like, hey, hey. And they're like, what? They walk down, there's nobody there. Stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to be honest. I am not a fan of West Pointers at all. Fuck those ring knockers.
Ring knockers, yes.
Arrogant fucks.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure where they came from is stupid haunted. I've been to West Point 3 times. You know,
I have never been there. I have never been
It's
to
okay.
the Northeast coast.
There's a lot of history there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All kinds of cannons, all the way back to the Revolutionary War, are still
nice
out there. I've been to the cemeteries. There's like 2 or 3.
West Point's only 42 minutes from Sleepy Hollow as well.
It's really close.
So,
yeah. But most of those buildings in New York are crazy old. And when I lived there, I lived in Ilion, New York, which is right up the hill from Remington Arms' original factory. And you can't walk down at least I couldn't walk down a city block without walking by at least 2 to 6 haunted houses.
2 to 6 haunted houses.
Yeah, I'd walk by and I'd get creeped. I'm like, oh, it's haunted. Walk down, oh yeah, it's haunted. And then, I stayed in when I first was stationed, I got an apartment in Herkimer, New York. Or no, what is it? Little Falls. And, it was the whole thing was about the size of this room and half of the dining room right there to our right. And all my stuff was in there. So it was like living inside a Rubik's Cube. I had to move boxes around and what have you. And I lived on a couch. I had my Xbox, monitor, TV, and that's how I spent my free time. Well, one night I roll up and it's like 10 o'clock. And when you look at the front of my apartment, the next door neighbor had a garage, which was back about 50 meters and had a real bright light that shone through the side window, and you could see it from the front window. And I'm rolling up there and I see this silhouette of an old lady go across the windows. And I'm like, oh, great.
Haunted again.
Yeah. And like, she never fucked with me. Occasionally I would see her out of the corner of my eye, but nothing moved. There was no voices, no sounds. It was just like I was living with a roommate that was ethereal. That's all.
I should have brought the photo. I could find it, but it'll take too long. I'm not going to do that right now. The house that wife and I live in was built in 1860. We were having a fire with some friends in the backyard. I got a stone fire pit back there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting around talking everything, and we took a picture, nice fire, having a good time. Looked at the picture, and clear as day, there is a greenish blue couple standing there with the guy's got his arm around the woman.
Huh?
Clear. I'll show you the photo. I just got the chills.
Thank
talking
you.
about it.
Thank you. That's what I want to see. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, clear as day.
Clear as day.
Yeah. And Jen, wifey, noticed it and was just like, "Hey, honey, come look at this." I'm like, "Oh, that's just." And I looked at it. I'm like, "Nope, that's people." So we've got ghosts on our property. They seem happy though because we really take care of the property.
Like the house I have in Berkeley.
Completely benevolent.
There's the straw hat guy that I've seen it. One of my children saw it. Yeah, my mother's seen it several times. I've seen it a couple times. Mm-hmm. And I remember I just bought the house. It was before you moved in. And it's winter. I'm sitting there watching TV and I see some movement. I look and I see a straw hat go past the window and I'm like, who the fuck is in my backyard? Because there's like 6-7 inches of snow on the ground. So I'm like, all right. I throw on my jacket, put on my boots, go out the front door, go down the steps, turn the corner. There are no footsteps in the backyard in the snow. None. So I'm like, okay. Second time, I was coming out of the kitchen into the dining room, and I saw it, the straw hat, through one of the windows right there in the dining. You've been there,
Yeah, that house is 1901.
It was built in 1901, 05, something like that. So it's stupid old. Again, I'm like, maybe it's somebody reading the gas meter, or the water meter, which is there. I walk out of the house, walk around, and this is springtime. Nobody there. There's no other way out of the backyard unless you go over the stone wall into the big parking lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it twice. And I literally think that used to be a farmhouse, and they owned like 60, 70 acres along Woodward, and it was an apple orchard and pears.
That was all farms up until the 30s or 40s, I think.
Yep. And the spaghetti factory was built as a small market. And they sold
had what's called a combine, where you bring all the grain and salt, and
and
people would sell produce. And
they sold fruit, wines, hard cider, all that stuff. So I think
our combine on 24 in Van Dyke when I was a kid was still open. The building was built in like 1870 something. They just tore it down like 20 years ago.
But I think that the straw hat guy is still tending his orchard.
Yeah, I
really do. I don't even know. I don't even think he's dead. Or if he's dead, he's just like, fuck it. This is where I like to be. Yeah, and then he just does the same thing.
Yeah.
That's his deal.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
So Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, big shock here. Fort Leavenworth's Frontier Army Museum has documented more than 36 haunted houses, making Leavenworth one of the most haunted Army installations. The museum has dockets of stories captured throughout the base and from nearby correctional facilities of U.S. Penitentiary Leavenworth, U.S. Disciplinary Barracks, and Midwest Joint Regional Correctional Facility, where multiple inmates within the facility are on death row. Now, disciplinary barracks is for soldiers who are doing time.
Are bad.
You're bad. My understanding is the penitentiary at Leavenworth is a straight up prison. And then Midwest Joint Regional Correctional is a federal facility. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it goes.
Back in the day, when you went to a military correctional facility, usually you went there to be rehabilitated.
Yes.
But they didn't make it easy. Because I saw some of the hell that took place.
Did you ever see a correctional barracks?
There was one on Fort Lewis.
Yeah, there was one at Fort Lewis, and there was one at Goodfellow Air Force Base. And you had to walk by it to get to the chow hall. And a couple of times we'd see unfortunate candidate X standing on their blue line.
Yep.
About 100 feet in front of the door of the barrack, and a couple of drill sergeants would come out and shark attack you.
Yeah.
And they were freaking brutal. And he's not even inside yet. He's like waiting to be allowed to go inside. And they lit this guy up one side and down the other.
No, I went and looked through the fence, and I saw the hell that they were living. Yeah. Like they literally would fill sandbags, and then they would carry them across the compound and dump them out into a pile of sand. And then other individuals are refilling sandbags, and literally they're moving back and forth all day. And there was another one they were splitting wood.
Yeah.
And they were selling cordwood to individuals who wanted it.
Yeah.
And that's all they did all day. And they did that hard work, or they were doing PT. And I believe they did PT 3 times a day.
I mean, if you got yourself in there, you're going to pay the stupid tax, man.
We had one soldier get sent there from 9th ID that I knew, and he came back like 6 months later, totally different dude. And he was ripped.
6 months?
He was there for 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. They gave him a company grade Article 15. Then they gave him a field grade Article 15 for marijuana.
Oh, which was bad back then.
And then he got popped again, and he went right to re-education camp. He was there for 6 months. And when he left, he was this 6'1", 6'2", real thin, gangly looking dude. He came back and he was fucking chiseled, man. That dude, because all he did was eat, work out, and then work. That's it.
And get yelled at.
And I asked him about the yelling. He goes, yeah, they yell at in the beginning. And then he goes, no, in fact, they yell at you the whole time. You just get used to it. You don't even hear it anymore. It's exactly right. You're like, all right.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to do this anyway, so yeah. The museum's stories at Leavenworth are so well told that their annual Haunted Fort Leavenworth tours sell out weeks in advance, and that might be something interesting to go to.
Yeah.
Let's command click that one and have a look real quick. The Friends of the Army Frontier Museum. We couldn't find the page you were looking for. This is either because there is a UR blah, blah, blah. You get the idea.
Yeah, Murphy put it in your balls.
That shit.
Balls deep in your pooper.
That's disappointing. We'll have to find that later.
Mm-hmm.
Francis E. Warren Air Force Base, Wyoming. F.E. Warren is old, having begun operations in 1867 as Fort D.A. Russell. Airmen stationed there have reported otherworldly screams so terrifying they have called base security to report it. Air Force does that all the time anyway.
Yep.
The responders understand because in security forces, Group Building 34 canine units whimper and whine at the staircases. Ooh. Now, if the dogs are upset, okay, now I'm going to pay attention.
Well, first of all, dogs sense that shit.
Well, exactly. And Air Force guys scare easy.
Yeah.
That's nothing. But when the dogs are bothered, now that's something else.
Yeah. When I grew up in a haunted house, my dog would go berserk sometimes in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Lewis McCord. Under the shadow of Mount Rainier, what used to be a mere uninhabited rugged wilderness, Joint Base Lewis McCord has accumulated its share of the ephemeral. Once the site of a guest house called the Red Shield Inn, the Fort Lewis Museum Mystery has been a hub of paranormal activity with reports of hauntings going back decades, including rumors of an exorcism to placate an actor's restless spirit who was murdered in the inn.
Oh, no.
Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana. Louisiana is just haunted.
Yeah.
Period. Louisiana is just haunted.
Yeah, I went down to JRTC and
it's all haunted.
That place is just creepy as fuck. And the horses on JRTC have this rare case of VD. The wild horses.
Nope.
Yep, that's what they said.
Nope. Rare case of VD horses. Nope.
Just saying, that's why they're still wild. Nobody will adopt them because they're infected with.
You got a pretty mouth, boy.
Is that what Tim Waltz said to the horses? Just asking for a friend.
Nicely played, Jimmy.
Savage beat down.
when a state boasts tales of voodoo, spooky hotels, and ghost roads, it's a small wonder that when the hospital and cemetery space is repurposed in Louisiana, the dead don't get the message. Military members whose office space just happens to be along Davis Avenue, coincidentally the site of the former base hospital, have reported doors slamming shut, footsteps running down hallways, and objects thrown across the room. Even the base exchange and commissary are haunted. As if the base hauntings weren't scary enough, the nearby cities of Shreveport and Bossier City are hotbeds of spookiness. Shreveport's crazy, including an eerie Greek crossing called the Green Light Bridge, where unexplained green lights hover around the small country bridge. That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah, that's actually a common phenomena that happens in virtually every state,
Will o' the Wisps,
including here in Michigan. Now, in regards to haunted Fort Lewis, I will tell you some stories about the 2nd Ranger Battalion, because I ETS'd out of the Army, out of the 2nd Ranger Battalion. And they were going on a deployment, and I was ETSing, and they literally just said, here's the keys. You've already cleared. You just got to finish clearing post. We've already cleared the unit. Just lock up when you leave. And I had the whole, Bravo company to myself, the whole building.
Are fairly large compounds, to my understanding.
It was the entire building. I had free run of the entire building, 1st through 3rd floor. I had friends of mine that had, I had the combinations to the locks, so I could stay in their rooms and watch their TVs and what have you. All right, so here's the weird thing. I'm literally there by myself. And all of a sudden, I'm in my room and I hear this TV come on. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I go up to the 2nd floor. Joe shit the rag bag. His TV is on full blast. I'm like, well, maybe it's on a timer or something. But this is in 91. I mean, that wasn't really a common thing. All right. And I was in those barracks for about 8-9 days before I cleared post and left. And virtually every night you'd hear a door slam, toilets flush, you'd hear murmuring like somebody's having a conversation, but there's nobody in the fucking building. Another time I was up in the day room, I have the TV on, I'm watching it, and I literally hear somebody booking it down the hallway in boots, and I'm like, oh shit. Now I have my revolver with me. I have my Smith & Wesson Model 19. I'm like, I'll kill your ass. So I'm clearing the barracks, So finally it got to the point where I literally just, locked up my room. It was already cleaned up. And I lived in my buddy's room at the other end of the hallway, which was closest to the exit by my car. So if shit really got crazy, I literally would just lock his door, walk out the side door, get in my car, and I'm gone. And I would have left earlier, but you have to clear post.
I know.
And you can only do certain things on certain days.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
exactly.
I would have done it all in 2 days and just left early and said, fuck all, I'm out.
Yeah. And you have to do them in a specific order, too. You can't clear one until you've cleared the other.
Yeah. So I literally had to, I finished clearing post. And, I left that haunted barracks behind me. And my last stop was I had to get even with this sergeant named Coolidge. And he had left the 2nd Ranger Battalion. He got reassigned to another unit on post. And before he left, he dumped my entire wall locker with my greens into a pile on the floor in my room, put 2 big cans of protein powder on it, and then soaked it in 2 gallons of milk. And there wasn't nothing I could do about it because he had found the Smith & Wesson Model 19 in my wall locker. So I just had to take it on the chin. But
what was he doing in your wall locker?
He was on CQ, and he and I had an argument. He went in there to get even and fucked me over hard. The next day, we had an inspection, which I failed miserably. It's okay. It's okay. I took it on the chin. It is what it is. But when I left the Army 4 months later, I knew where he lived. So I got in my car. I went to ACO. I bought a paint roller, one of those long screw-in broomsticks for said paint roller, a pan of paint, and then oil-based fluorescent yellow paint. poured it in the thing, and I went to his car and I painted a yellow stripe all the way down his car. And I'm walking on his car while the alarm is going off. And he's living on the 3rd floor of this apartment. He comes out, I'll kill you, Pop. Uh-huh. Yeah. I got done painting the stripe on his car, threw everything down, got in my car. Poof, I was on the freeway. Rolling back to Detroit, baby. I didn't stop for 2.5 days until I got home. Fuck that guy.
I've done that drive. That's a hump.
Sorry. That wasn't a ghost story. That was a.
That's okay. That's okay. That was a good ending story. You were in a haunted barracks when it happened.
Yes.
So it counts.
It counts.
It counts. Damn it.
All right. Let's do the super chat. See what we got here.
Super chat time. Alrighty. Let's see. Before we do that, we'll do a head count here. We got 567 over on the YouBoob. 344 likes.
It's not too bad.
Okay. We could do with a few more, maybe.
Yeah.
A few more. We'll see how things end up. But
For record,
I've already
have another 2 hours of material of ghost stuff that we didn't even get to.
Yes.
There you go. Let's see. The first one here comes from Rusty Shackelford for $2. Says saw shadow boots marching from Little Round top.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, man, that shit is.
I've been kind of getting in the spooky mood myself. I've been watching a bunch of Paranormal Activity investigators and whatnot, and some pretty spooky shit's been popping up.
I watch that shit all.
Next one here, Oh yeah. See, Matthew Gordon here with $20 says, "I live down the street. You son of a bitch, motherfucker, fuck."
I live down the street.
Okay.
The fucking page fucking fucked up on me, bastard. Fuck off, YouTube. Again, Matthew Gordy says, I live down the street from an 1800s cemetery with several CSA fallen in it.
Oh, these are all over around where I am. Where I live up in farm country there, there's a bunch of early 1800s cemeteries.
Yeah, but not Confederate soldiers. No Confederate soldiers are probably buried there.
Union soldiers?
Yeah.
There are definitely Civil War graves there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, fun fact about me, the town that I grew up in, there is a guy named Michael Myers buried in there.
Nice. You remember Jack Kevorkian?
Yeah.
He was on Bolton Street in Royal Oak.
I almost bought his Buick Riviera.
Yeah, nice.
That'd been fun. Let's see. Ascension, $5 says, you are quarterly and anally invited to the Holy Gay Moon Temple. Bring your own snacks and lube in that order.
I don't know what just happened there.
That's a little disturbing. Thank you. No thank you.
I did not know that they let P. Diddy out and he's throwing parties again.
Yep.
See, FMF veteran here with $10 says, keep it up. My house is haunted. I woke up one morning talking to something or someone.
Fun.
Yep. I've grown up in a haunted house myself.
Yep. Can't say that I've had too many spooky encounters myself, but I've had a couple. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, there was nothing like evil in the house I grew up in. It was just haunted.
I've been fortunate enough to avoid that in living situations.
Yeah.
But I've encountered some really bad shit elsewhere, and Pop already told all those stories.
Let's see. You got Camp Chad the Impaler with $5 says, X went shopping one time. I took a bath. Later, heard the key in the door, slid slowly under the H2O to not make ripples. She came in. She thought I was dead.
All right. Well, these things happen.
That's nice. And the Plains Warrior with $2. He's sending us a spooky ghost emoji.
Nice.
And let's see. We got potato sauce. He's dropping 100 Australian on us.
All right. Thank you.
You know what? It's a triple-digit number, so here you go.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Thank you so much.
Says
hello in Australia.
Says get to catch a Paranormal Popp live for once. Recently binged your previous paranormal vids and was hankering for more. You guys are doing God's work. Keep it up.
Well, there you go.
We're trying. We're trying to keep the ghosts in their meat suit as long as possible.
There you go. Exactly.
Actually, yep. And because the window fucked up on me, I missed this one from Rusty Shackelford. Thank fuck that it stayed there. But he's dropping 100 bones on us, so he gets one of these.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Says Paranormal Popp for the win. Kick rocks and happy Halloween.
Used to be my favorite holiday.
Yep. And again, let me apologize for that, guys, because I was literally in the middle of reading a fucking super chat, and the page goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fuck off for a second."
That this just happens.
It happens.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
bastards. Fix your shit. Alrighty, we'll jump over here to the Rumble side of things. Let me do a quick refresh, because if the likes aren't matching the numbers, I'm going to have to do something that's going to scare even my night terror demon. Let's see. We got 602 pairs of eyeballs and 161 likes.
Uh-oh.
A little shady, guys.
You got to do better, man.
All you got to do is push the button.
That's right, man.
Doesn't cost you anything.
That's all you got to do. All right, here. Let me bring up that. And I was able to open up the Rumble chat here. So you should be starting off with Tomahawk with $10. Says, got to see Custer's battlefield when I was a kid. Pretty creepy. They buried the dead where they fell. Many were still in formation. Others were scattered in the fields and gullies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That used to actually be a tradition. They buried you where you fell.
I wonder what the ghost count is like in the Teutoburg forest, where Arminius took out 12,000 Romans.
Oh boy,
that's just the soldiers. That isn't the all of the civilians.
Three full legions.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Let's see. Gendai 351. I'm going to do that for you at the end of the show here. He says, Redonkulas 12 editing intro for tonight. Please play if possible. BVB put a lot of work into it. Yep.
Which one is that?
The Paranormal Popp. Oh, never mind.
We can't play it on YouTube.
Can't play that on YouTube. But he did email that to me, so you guys will be enjoying that for the a future show on the Rumble side.
Well, we can put it as the intro video on the Rumble side. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yep. It just clicked in my brain. I was like, better not.
I saw that earlier today.
Let's see. MGTOW Mando coming in and says the human brain works on bioelectrical signals. Electricity is a form of energy. Since energy can neither be created nor destroyed or changed, it makes sense that you would leave a form of residue.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't argue with that.
Yeah. See, Armed Ohio Heathen 92 says, last year we went up to OSR on a ghost hunt, felt a welcoming pat on my left shoulder walking around the white cell block, and my buddy felt a pinch on his behind in a cell block called Queen's Row.
Oh.
That's
not good.
They're turning the ghosts gay.
Ghostly homo suspicion point.
Oh no.
Oh no. Let's see. That is repeat of Tomahawks there. There's a repeat Gendai. Looks like. Rumble, you're fucking doubling up on me, you bastages.
I know there's a bunch more in there.
Rumble's been doing that.
Yeah, here's the triple from Tomahawk here. There's Gendai again. Hey, there we go. MX Stilgar, aka Jerry Conway. Saw him last Thursday. Good to see you. So Shalom, MGTOW brothers. Love and peace from Boston. Late arriving tonight. Arriving at 8:35 p.m. EDT. Apologies in advance for if any of my comments have already been covered. For now, peace.
Thank you.
Nice.
Always good to see you there, Jerry, the man with the golden voice. And let's see. Mando coming back. He's got a question for you. Did Genghis Khan sack or balls sack Baghdad?
Probably both.
Probably both.
Dude, like something around 1/3 of the population of parts of Europe carries his DNA.
Yeah.
So if he sacked your city, he probably also ball sacked your city.
He sacked your city and then teabagged your ancestors.
He has the most offspring descendants known in history, period.
Yeah.
Basically, he fucked everything.
The man with no standards, Genghis Khan. MX Stilgar coming back in and says the term jinn is Arabic for demons, plural. The singular form of demon in Arabic is genie. Yeah, the same ones that in the folklore that grant you wishes at a cost.
Yep. But nothing's free, baby.
Yep. And he continues at it with, look at the deep state. They have made all kinds of deals with demons for their wealth and power on the earth today. Think about it.
You're probably not wrong.
Probably not wrong.
I was actually scrolling through a Twitter earlier today, and there's a video out there from a Come Swallow rally. Mm-hmm. There's a lady behind her eye, at one point, her eyes turned like bright white. Like they roll back in their head. So they changed it to a thermal and like two other spectrums of a camera. And things are, I don't know if it's been, hoodwinked with or whatnot, but it was kind of creepy.
Something ain't right.
Yeah. It's creepy, man. It's creepy.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one here. Deus Ex Machina Prime. He says, fucker YouTube. And he drops 50 on us.
Thank you.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is not a donation, but a JMV 290 over on Rumble says, Jimmy needs a gimp suit.
A gimp suit.
No.
Yep.
We're not doing that.
It's getting a little weird.
Monkey suit, maybe, but that, no. We have a line. We're drawing a line.
There's a line. Let's see. Berserker Brad, 1983 with 25. He says, to save men's lives and they will piss and shit over you. Try to save men's lives and they will piss and shit all over you. Be a whore and say, and they will make you a millionaire. Here's a big fuck you to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, bro.
Oh, yeah, there's no money in hope, man. It just is what it is.
And hope in one hand, shit in the other is the saying, I believe.
Yep. Tell me which one.
In this case, hope in one hand, spit in the other.
Yeah.
No thanks. See, JMac 2359 for $20. He says, for the whiteboard fund.
I've been telling Pop for months that I'm seeing comments in the shorts that Pop needs to bring the whiteboards back. So be careful what you wish for.
No, I'm bringing back the whiteboards. In fact, I bought ring lights for that. So we just got to set up the cameras and do some experimentation to see if we can get around that evil thing called glare. Rhymes with Claire, the whore.
I don't know where you're going there.
I know.
That's the same. Carry on.
That's the Digital Dude comes in and says, Pop, when I lived in Las Vegas, we used to go to the area and watch shit fly around doing impossible maneuvers according to conventional flight.
That doesn't shock.
That would be Area 51. Yep.
Fucking aliens, man.
Yeah. Listen, when I spent a lot of time down there in White Sands, Dugway, Utah. You see stuff. It just, you're like, okay, well, could be military test and shit. Who knows?
Yeah, there was stuff that we knew about that was classified that we couldn't talk about. And then like 3 or 4 years later, that literally verbatim would turn up in a movie and we're like, oh, come on!
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Vegas, Alucard comes in and, he's always got to have a request. But he also has a Happy Halloween on it.
Hey, Happy Halloween.
Here we go.
Yay.
Jesus Christ, I hate that one.
There you go, Pop. There's your Halloween costume.
Nope. I'm not. No, it's not happening.
Click the like button if you want to see Pop dress up like that for Halloween.
My wife sews. That is not out of the realm of possible.
It's not going to happen. Don't even do it. I'm not doing that shit. It's not happening.
Carry on.
Come on.
Nope. No.
I read this one earlier from MGTOW Mando, such a good friend of mine, bastard. He says, Pop, it's quite arrogant to say other intelligent life. You assume we are intelligent. Current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania is example of one. Your button monkey is example two. No offense, Jimmy.
All right. Yeah,
Bastard.
you're right.
Love you, Mando. No homo. This is a good dude. Let's see. Count Chad coming back says, guess what I see creeping up behind Battle Dwarf? Singing Sparkling Pop. Please no.
I've already seen that one. No, thank you.
We sang and sparkled.
Yep, that was enough for one night. Let's see. Jerry Conway coming back. Battledorf, you mentioned Sleepy Hollow being 40 minutes or so from West Point. Please, Battledorf, please, you read this on stream. Check email for Ichabod Crane.
I saw this early on. It's short. I will read it.
He also says, no offense, Jimmy.
Well, that's because normally you read these things, but he asked me to read this.
Yeah, no problem.
The name Ichabod in Hebrew means without glory, or where is the glory, is mentioned in the first book of Samuel as the son of Phinehas, a priest at the biblical shrine of Shiloh, who was born on the day that the Israelites' Ark of God was taken into Philistine captivity. His mother went into labor due to the shock of hearing that her husband and Eli, her father-in-law, had died and that the ark had been captured. Ichabod is also named later as the brother of Ahitub. And actually, I know those stories. Yes.
All right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the whole thing.
There you go. All right, sweet. Let's see. I need to go grab a beer anyways, so thank you.
That's fine.
All right.
All right, we got Tomahawk here. He says, damn it! Lived in Kansas most of my life. Never been to Leavenworth, but now I feel the need to go.
Apparently, check out the museum.
Yeah.
Is what we were just told.
Yep. And there's I mentioned this on Sunday night. Fort Laramie is like right down the road from my area, and they have during the spooky season they do the haunted Halloweens and whatnot. I would very much love to walk around there with a full spectrum camera and a thermal camera and just walk around and see what comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause Fort Laramie, that's, it's old.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do a quick search on that, gentlemen. Do pretty crazy stuff, but let's see. Golf 5 Alpha says, many women have wounds with many lost souls.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's very true.
Yeah.
I don't understand that behavior. I do not understand that behavior.
Yep.
And I'm not going to get into the politics of all the fucking stupid shit that I've been getting about. Oh, we need to do this and do that. Nah, fuck off. Let's see. Tantalum 180 says 2 stories of note from 2 different homes over 100 years old. One was being whispered to while half awake in a bed by a female voice when no one was home. The other, see next chat.
All right.
Where's he at? Okay, the second story was from when I was an infant. My mother told me of how I fell down an old laundry chute as an infant. The memory I have was being surrounded and closed in on by so many ghosts.
Ooh.
Weird.
Yeah. There's something to be said
Yeah.
about young children being able to see and interact with the dead.
Yep.
That's creepy.
Or them having the memories of a person that had passed on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I totally believe in that. There's just too many stories with too many people coming back with too much information. It just...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Come on now.
Let's see. Next one. International Household Whoop Ass. One of my favorite screen names. He says, good evening. Public service announcement. 1 more week to stop the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not tonight, man. Professor Blake, Clue Ass Blaster 3000.
Okay.
Was there a car going by or something?
What?
No.
I it sounded like I just heard like a car going by. I'm not even kidding. It sounded like it picked up on your mics. I don't know what that was.
Haunted. Well, this house is haunted. So
Professor Blake coming in and says, let's just say at one day I was hiking with some friends in the night in the mountains. We were armed and this black figure was following us, turned around and started shooting right away.
Probably not great to freaking start slinging the lead right away if you're armed. Like maybe figure it out because
I mean, I told that story about when I went fishing by the Finger Lakes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was no sound. And I spent the entire night with my 12 gauge ready to go. My back was to like this huge tree. So you're not sneaking up on this popster without getting at least one or two rounds of buckshot in your ass.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yep. And actually, Professor Blake follows it up. He says, all of a sudden, the black figure just vanished out of nowhere.
Eesh.
Fuck that.
I hate to say, but you can't kill a ghost with lead.
No.
Doesn't work. See, Golf 5 Alpha coming back again says, the greatest Halloween costume ever. A chick with half a dozen transparent balloons shaped like babies floating around her. Spooky.
That would actually be
That'd be
pretty effectual.
That'd be fucked up.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there is that college couple that went with as P. Diddy and a bottle of baby oil.
Oh, well.
Oh no!
The baby balloon thing would be like a whore halo.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Bad news. Tantalum 180 coming in and says, second story for Moon. Oh, nope, never mind.
One. Next one is Professor Blake.
Freaking double chatting there, you bastard. Rumble chat. See, Blake is asking, Professor Blake is asking, are we going to be live this Thursday?
I believe so, yes.
That should be.
I believe so. And Ali Card coming in says, do demons have a grudge against humans that refuse their deal?
Well, if you read the good book, yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah. And also don't fuck with Ouija boards.
In fact, Devil Stevens hate human beings because we were God's chosen and they were not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's see. You're really going to make me say this screen name, aren't you? Lil Woody. Not Big Woody, Little Woody. Says, a fella killed himself on top of a mountain where my cabin is at. An old logging road runs past the cabin to the top at 0300. That night, something went flying past the cabin. I think it was his ride.
Huh.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Okay.
Spooky. And I know I did see a couple more come over on the YouTube side. Dylan Sheridan with $5 says, can you weaponize ghosts? If so, how?
Well, which is...
I mean, Aragorn did it, but apparently you need to be the king of Rohan and stuff. So.
If you practice black magic, you can actually do that.
Yeah, but I'm not willing to go down that road at all. So,
but from what I've heard, if you practice black magic, it's not really that complicated. So that's just rumor control.
I will pass on all of that stuff.
Yeah, so will I. I don't need any of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hard pass.
See, John Galt
about black magic, so I do research it from time to time. So
yeah. See, John Galt with $2 Canadian says, my 1850s house is surprisingly unhaunted.
That's rare.
Well, more than likely it is. It's just the people that live in there are willingly sharing it with you, and you just don't know it. But if it was built that long ago, odds are there's been people who passed away in the building. So there's a high chance it is haunted.
Yep.
You think your fucking toothpaste is haunted?
Well, yes, it is.
Rusty Shackelford here with $5 says, bring back the whiteboards.
We will. We got to get to it.
See, L Snows here with $5 says, the scariest Halloween yard decorations I've ever seen were the Harris Waltz signs in my neighborhood.
Yeah, speaking of which, my buddy up north, I go up there and hang out. Pete and I stole a Waltz and Harris sign and put it out in front of his house. And he was fucking pissed. He's like, who the fuck put this sign out? I'm trying not to laugh. But I can't lie. He's like, he caught me.
That's funny.
It was good. Good
in
times.
Bloomfield Hills, there is a house that has a Harris sign in front of it with a fucking cat on it.
Hmm.
There is a Harris for president with a cat on it. Cat Lady Harris sign.
Shocker.
All right.
I mean, that's a whole lot of truth being told, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Carry.
Yeah. Let's see. I believe that covers the rest of the YouTubes there. Yes, it does. Yeah, one come back in from Tantalum 180 says, I guess I forgot to mention that I remember suddenly appearing in the basement, dank, whimpering, and some of the spirits and ghosts were possessing stuffed dolls and animals. It was a repeat nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Creepy.
Yeah, I used to have repeat nightmares when I was a kid. They stopped when I was about 13-ish. All right, carry on.
Fun times. Carrying on. Looks like the only one over on the MGTOW side from MGTOW Ronin says, thanks. Hey guys, thanks for the ghost stories. Gents, your favorite all-time horror films, go.
The Exorcist scared the absolute living shit out of me. The first Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Hellraiser. Those are the top. Oh, and then the first Beetlejuice, which is pretty good.
Pandorum is a pretty good modern horror movie set on a spaceship, actually. It's pretty good. I got to see the original Max Schreck 1922 Nosferatu at the State Theater in Ann Arbor with a live orchestra in the pit. In 1994.
Ooh,
that
sounds
was
good.
Really, really cool.
All right.
Yeah. I'm kind of basic. I like my slasher films, but Halloween is also one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The original, and then the knockoffs that got worse and worse and worse down the line.
They just became ridiculous.
Yeah. Then again, I've only seen the first one of the modern remakes, the 2018. I was like,
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, no.
Carry on.
Let's see. All right, we'll jump over to the Odyssey there, and we've got 4 from everyone's mouthful of word salad screen name. Big Mike's Raging Rectum Wrecking Purple-Headed Prostate Puncher. Says, thank you, Battle Hobbit. I just finished the Secret History of Procopius.
Oh, dude, that's so good.
There is nothing new under the sun.
Yes. It's an actual. This guy kept a secret journal of the Emperor Justinian.
Okay.
Because if he put it out while Justinian was still alive,
he would die.
No longer be alive.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good book. And it's true, and it's about Justinian of the 6th century Constantinople and his wife Theodora, who is the greatest whore in Constantinople. Yeah. It's just a really tawdry read.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Big Mike's second one here says, my wife is Thai, a rural farm girl. Pop would give her a 4. And since he has homo suspicion points flying around him, he'd give me a 4, but a raging 4.
Dude, how did we get here? How do we
ever get here?
Jesus.
How do we ever get? It always ends up this way.
All right.
And he finishes up, says, and she has 2 shrines in the house, one in our room and one at the front door.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome. And Big Mike's third, he says, Pop, if you have plans to do a Paranormal Pop road trip, check out Virginia City. Stay in their hotels.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I've the years that I've been going to Deadwood, they have all those, ghost stories and brothel tours and whatnot. Yeah, good luck trying to do those when you have like 500 drunken idiots running around Main Street and bitching about $60 pizza.
Yeah, you're right.
People don't prepare for Deadwood. And Big Mike's final one here says, Pop, they can see and interact with the dead because they were recently dead.
Who?
He's talking about the way that children can interact with the dead.
Okay, well, maybe.
Seems like a strange way to look at it, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, they came from the spirit world somehow.
I mean,
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough. All righty, we'll jump over to D Live. I don't think we had any Lemons come on in. No, we did not. And of course, they're not telling us how many viewers we got over there. But over on Twitch, hi Twitch, we got 10 folks over there. And over on the Twitter, or X, as some people call it. Yes, I'm dead naming a fucking social media platform. Sue me.
I call it TwitX.
I still just call it Twatter because there's all kinds of twats talking on there. We got 43 viewers over there.
All right. We're actually growing over there. All right.
Yep. Going and going. I am sharing all the posts and everything here over there. Let's see. We'll check the cash apps here. We got $5 from HKC for $5, says for helping out.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That'll get Pop a pack of whiteboard markers.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I actually purchased a whole bunch of new ones.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ooh, gearing up.
Alrighty. Looks like that is the only cash app that came in tonight. Let me scroll down just a little bit. Yep, looks like that's the only cash app. That's fine. Still love you guys. No homo. Let me do one more run through of the chats. Yep, looks like we got a couple more over on the Rumble side. Scroll down there. See, Alicard says, "What kind of grudges do demons do? For example, send in the hounds."
I don't know.
Oh wow! Usually, it all depends. A lot of demons like to set things in your path that will kill you or maim you on the regular if you piss them off. You don't want that.
The most famous Raggedy Ann doll ever, Annabelle.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I would not set foot inside the Warrens Museum. No, thank you.
But there's that one voodoo queen
too much
from
bad juju.
Louisiana back in the day. That was her MO. You could actually give her money or whatever, and she would sick demons on your enemies. That was like a go-to thing back then.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Marie LeBeau or whatever her name was.
No, that's I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, but that one rings a bell.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
And LB Weaver here says, "Exorcist scared the fuck out of me. First Nightmare on Elm Street did too, but the sequels were comedy gold.
Yep.
Exorcist 3 was pretty spooky too."
The first Exorcist is the one that really scared me because I was just a child when I first saw it, and my brother didn't make it easy at all. He scared the living shit out of me. I was maimed.
Psychologically maimed?
Yes. For years.
That's what brothers are for.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
That makes you still guard, really?
Yep. Jerry Conway says, "I saw a film with a woman clothed with indigo dyed tampons. Someone asked, 'What are you?' She replied, 'Picasso's blue period.'" Ah.
That's horrible.
As my wife likes to say, punch yourself in the nuts.
Hang on, actually, I think is the button on there? Yep. Okay, so that is tonight's lump of vomit.
God damn it.
All
right, let's roll through these.
Sick bastard. All right, let's see. I think we are all caught up here. Let me do one more quick run through here. Make sure we're not missing anything.
All right.
Looking good there. Looking good. Yep. Damn it. Clicking the wrong button here. Let's see. Yep. All caught up on the MGTOW side. Only one chat over there. That's the wrong one. That's Rumble. It's fucking mouse. I need to get a new mouse. Yep. I believe we are all caught up here. Let me just check. Let's see. Yep. No more of the cash apps. So, yep. I believe we're ready for safety briefing.
All right, everybody. Halloween's coming up. Holiday of the Dead. Don't join them. All right. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and swim. And work out for you. If you must engage in fisticuffs, run away first. If you can't get away, do everything in your power not to go to the ground, because that's where you get stomped out. Rack up, pack up, and stack up. There's safety in numbers. Maintain your situational awareness, because if you're going to be attacked, something in your environment will have changed, and it's up to you to see it. And I'm sick and tired of throwing dirt on you guys because you're taking the permanent solution to a temporary problem. Gentlemen, stay in the fight, play the long game, because you have no idea what tomorrow holds. Peace. All right.
There you go. All right, and Battledorf.
Well, Tomahawk slipped $1 in on us and said Salem's Lot scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah,
I'm making 10 gallons of black mead the day after tomorrow.
Yes, I want to see some of that shit.
That's going to be good stuff. I wish Detroit still had the bonfires, where we set buildings on fire. I sort of miss old Devil's Night. We can videotape that and show that to you. I have an idea for a paranormal thing. Detroit has Underground City.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. We should see if we can find the entrances. I know where some of the entrances are. We need to gain access.
I wonder if there's I know we used to have a bunch of asylums around here. I wonder if any are still left.
No. That's it for me.
All right.
All righty. Well,
Happy Halloween. Forgots.
Nothing spooky from me for my final thoughts, but yeah. Hey, you never know. Go get yourself some merch from redonkulas.com.
Yeah.
See, because good ideas don't need censorship. Get you one of those. Get you a whiskey glass. I might get me one of those.
All right.
That's good stuff. And again, we got shirts, hats, patches, stickers, all kinds of good stuff over there.
You name it.
You name it, Redonkulas got it. And if we don't got it, call us in 2 to 4 weeks and we'll get it.
There you go.
All right. My new book will be out here shortly.
Oh, yeah.
There
Shadow of the Wraith.
Yeah.
All righty, gents. Keep your candy bags full and the cootie juices off your dishes.
Oh, yes, please.
I can't do it!